Epstein victims attorney Spencer Kuvin says there is no so-called client list of people who used Epstein to set them up with underage sex victims. But he says there is something else.
So is there a, quote, list of these people? No, it doesn't exist. There's no list, but there's a phone book.
Now, attorney David Schoen, he was hired to represent Jeffrey Epstein 9 days before Epstein died. He's also served as one of the President Trump's lawyers for his second impeachment.
I think that they jumped the gun. I think they spoke before they knew what they had. I think there's a certain level of hypocrisy from Congressman Khanna's position now. Where was he during the last 4 years? The Biden administration, we know, for sure that they had all of the same records. Remember, Ms. Maxwell was prosecuted by Mr. Comey's daughter and others. They've had access. A lot of people have had access to all of the papers related to Jeffrey Epstein. But I think it was handled clumsily. I don't believe there's a client list. I don't believe Jeffrey Epstein planned to blackmail anyone. I don't believe Jeffrey Epstein was in the employ of the Mossad or any other intelligence agency or any of these crazy Tucker Carlson theories that are going around.
Well, you say that you asked Epstein, frankly, if he had any dirt on President Trump. What did he tell you?
He said absolutely not. It was an important issue to him. This was before I knew President Trump at all, of course. This is 2019. I don't suggest that our conversation was limited just to that.
Sure.
But this was at a time in which it would have behooved Mr. Epstein to give up every wealthy and famous person that he knew in his own defense. And so specifically, I asked him about Donald Trump because, they had been publicly associated in the past, and Trump threw him out of his club years earlier. He said absolutely not, and that it was important to him that people not cast aspersions on Donald Trump and others who we spoke about by wrongly associating him with any of his activities. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein ran with a lot of wealthy and famous people whose names, everybody knows. Mm-hmm. The fact that they might appear in an address book doesn't mean that they did anything nefarious with him.
No, there is no client list. There never has been a client list. A client list suggests that Jeffrey Epstein made a list of people to whom he trafficked women. What there is a redacted FBI affidavit from accusers. There are several of them from accusers that accuse Jeffrey, that accuse various people of having improper sex. And that has been redacted. The names of the people accused have been blacked out. Now, of course, because I was the lawyer and I did all the investigations, I know who all these people are. I could figure out, based on everything that I saw, who Mr. X is, Mr. Y is, and Mr. Z. I can tell you right now, none of them are public figures who are currently in office. Some of them were previously in office. Some of them are dead. But there is no client list. And the redactions could be undone if you go to court. So many of the things that are being suppressed by 2 judges in Manhattan. And they're doing it largely to protect the alleged accusers who are, in the view of the judges, victims, even though we don't know what their actual status is. But the judges have issued orders, which is why I can't disclose things I'd love to disclose, saying that you can't disclose this information. But Pam Bondi and the Justice Department and Donald Trump are not responsible for that. I don't know of any information that they could disclose that they haven't disclosed. Now, maybe there is some, but I'm simply not aware of it. The vast majority of people who are in the files, and I know them all, I've seen all the names, the vast majority of them have already been disclosed. They're in articles all over the world. They're in books that have been written. So if we got everything, you would be shocked how few names are there that haven't already been disclosed. The media hasn't, by the way, done a good enough job in finding the people who have been disclosed in the public record. And then there's Tucker Carlson's absurd allegations about the Mossad. There I know it from very, very personal experience. Why? I was representing Jeffrey Epstein. I asked him about everything, including whether he had any contacts with intelligence agencies. If he had, he would have been dying to tell me that, because I could have used that to get him a better deal. If he had worked with the Mossad or the CIA, that would have been golden for me. But of course he said no. And then I checked it with my sources in Israel. Let me clear, I once represented the Mossad. When 5 Israeli Mossad agents were captured in Cyprus, the head of the Mossad asked me to represent them. I did, I got them out, and the Mossad sent me a congratulatory note. I'm friendly with many of the people who have been heads of the Mossad. I'm not going to tell you who my sources are, but I can tell you with absolute certainty he had no connections to Mossad. He only got connected to Israel very late in this, when he met Ehud Barak and he made business dealings with him. But there was no connection to Mossad. The reason that story generated is because his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, probably did have a connection to Mossad, Robert Maxwell, but it had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And as far